Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday morning, December 16th, 2024. It is so good to see you all this beautiful and amazing Monday morning here in Austin, Texas. Let's do a really quick little sound check. Give me thumbs up if you can hear me without any issues. I assume that you can, because no one is saying I can't hear you, but let's go ahead and just do some thumbs up. Want to make sure, okay, good stuff. We've got Charmine. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. You all, lots to go over this Monday morning. Let's check out the market, see what's going on. I want to remind you that we are having our Tuesday morning mentorship meeting tomorrow here at the office, 10 a.m. Really exciting to do the mentorship meeting, probably one of my favorite meetings of the entire week. We also have our contract review and also our broker Q&A on Wednesday. You are welcome to email me questions. You can also ask questions during the meeting. Love our broker Q&A. And then we've got stats that will be published on Thursday. No meeting on Friday because we have our amazing and awesome yearly Christmas party on Friday. So be sure to join us for that. If you have any questions about that, please ask Christy. She is in charge of all of that. Do not ask me anything. I'm simply told where to be, why to be, but that's about it. So ask Christy any questions that you may have about our holiday party on Friday. But we're going to go ahead, y'all, and hit it hard. New listing to pending ratio. Really excited to update this information, see what's going on within the entire Austin market. As you know, this is the single best leading market indicator available, telling us exactly what is happening with the market. We're going to go backwards in time a little bit, and we're going to update the pending for the previous few weeks. So we're going to go back to December 2nd all the way through December 9th. And let's go ahead and focus on the 6-county area. Travis, Williamson, Bastrop, Hayes, Caldwell, along with Burnett counties and the number of pending properties. We are going to change this from 360 to 398. That's going to give us a ratio of 0.82. Let us update from the 25th all the way through the 2nd. That's going to give us 419. That's going to bring the ratio to 1.26. From the 18th to the 25th, 479. That's going to be 1.06. 11th all the way through the 18th. And that's going to bring us up. That's not going to change anything because we're at 446. So that's going to stay at a 0.93 from the 4th until the 11th. That's going to be 418. So there we have it. We don't have to update anything going backwards. So we've got all of the updates right here. So we are finishing 2 weeks ago at a 0.82 ratio. Now the ratio was 1.26 the week before that because of Thanksgiving. We have very few properties come on the market on Thanksgiving. You can go all the way back here and you can see Thanksgiving of last year. We had a 1.15. Then you get to the Christmas area. The ratio will always go up during the holidays, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas, because you still have properties going pending, but you've got a lot fewer properties coming on the market. That's why the ratio always goes up. Now, this time around, the ratio actually went up by 1.26, way better than the previous Thanksgiving, which was 1.15. So year over year, the same week, we had a way better 2024 compared to 2023. And fourth quarter of this year is turning out to be just nothing short of miraculous. And when I share with you the pricing information, what has sold so far this month, y'all, I couldn't believe it. I even had to go back and run the search again. I was like, am I making a mistake here on these formulas? It is just mind-blowing what's happening with pricing December 2024. Just shocking to say the least. So we're going to go over all of that information. But right now, we're going to update the new listings from the 9th to the 16th. And then, of course, after we get done with this week, we're going to update the monthly to see what's going on for the entire month. The number of new listings, we are at 582. New listings, price increase, we are at 151. Price decrease, we are at 828. Wow, look at that ratio, 85% ratio. That continues to go down. We did have an 81% ratio. The only reason we had this 81% ratio, same thing, you kind of go back. I mean, right at the beginning of the month, builders start increasing pricing. We had 250 price increases towards the end and the beginning of the month. It is very common for builders to increase pricing. That's why we had this 82. But if you go back for the entire year, let's take a look at the entire year as a percentage. The average percentage for the entire year is 89%. We're at 85% right now. So this number is going down. Less price decreases, a little bit more price increases in relation to the previous weeks. Back on the market, we are at 133, and that's going to put us at 23%. Let's go active under contract. We are at 318. Now, you get to guess how many pendings. How many pendings, you all? What do you think? Last week, 398. Keep in mind that we always start the day with a lower number. As you know, over the past few or the next few weeks, we're going to continually update the number of pending. Melanie Price starting us at 243. Seth coming in at 249. Kevin at a little bit more bullish, 298. We've got Sonia at 267. We've got Charmaine at 235. The number, you all, is at 257. So already we have a 0.8 new listing to pending ratio. Y'all, what's happening in real estate right now in Austin towards this December is just amazing. We are seeing a renewed demand that we really have not seen any month this year. It's incredible. We've got a lot of properties going under contract. I mean, this fourth quarter is just bucking all of the trends that we were expecting going into this fourth quarter. Really amazing to see what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the year over year comparison. So we've got 35 less new listings. We're going to be on the positive when you look at new listings year over year. Look at last week, 145 more new listings, but look at the week before that. And the reason why you've got this 278 and then negative 254 is because Thanksgiving fell in a different week. That's why. So when you look at these two numbers together, we're actually positive 24. That's what you have to do. You have to look at both weeks together because Thanksgiving fell in different weeks of the month. But so far, we are down 5.7% on the number of new listings year over year. We've got 55 less price increases, 67 less price decreases, and we are down on pending 293, but it's really early into the day. Looks like we'll probably still be, well, let's add everything up. So we are down, if we kind of ignore today so far, we're actually up 141. So the question is, are we going to gain about 150 active under contract pending between now and the end of the day? And as we update this data, I'd say that we are. But look at this. Now, here's the interesting thing that we also have to keep in mind. From August 26 until the end of November, we had 1,097 more pendings this year versus last year. But then all of a sudden, we've got 2 weeks where we've got 9.1 and 8.9% less. Now, all of these deals right here, especially these deals, 178, 124, 86, 26, 105, 86, they're all closing right now, right? Deals that went under contract towards the end of October, towards November. I mean, this big number right here, 291 more pendings compared to last year. This is going to close this month in December. But we are right now, and not that this is a concern, I'm cautiously optimistic because we're obsessed here with leading indicators. So we are closing these deals that went under contract 2 months ago. But then we've got to look at what will close in the next 2 months. And we are slightly negative on properties going under contract since December 25th. So that's about 3 weeks ago. What happened 3 weeks ago? What started happening 3 weeks ago? Any guesses on what started happening 3 weeks ago? What are your guesses? What happened 3 weeks ago that all of a sudden we're seeing a decrease in pendings? Okay, yeah, the election certainly happened, no doubt. Rates. I would put this 100% on rates. Rates actually, rates went up, and rates went up by quite a bit. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we were at 6.25. Now we're at 6.75. And as we inch closer to that 7, there is a pullback at the very same time that prices are up because of what happened a month ago and 2 months ago with rates going down. So rates go down, demand goes up, price goes up, and then price goes up, rates go up, and then demand drops. And we just keep going back and forth in this rate, price, demand cycle. Demand goes up, price goes up right when rates are going down, and all of a sudden we see this reversal on rates, and then people start putting their homes on the market right when rates are starting to go up, using the comps that just sold at a higher price because rates went down. We keep on seeing this cycle repeat over and over again. Let's start updating all of the monthly information. So we're going to go backwards for the month of November. We're going to update the pending. This is going to go from 1532 to 1538. We don't have to update October. And let us start updating December and see what's going on for the entire month. And you can see that the average so far for the month of December on rate is 6.65. Now in November, it was 6.81, the average for all of November. But look at September, 6.18. Now we're at 6.75 right now. We do have a question. Isn't FOMC rate announcement this week? Yes, indeed it is. Yeah, FOMC rate announcement will be this week. That's exactly it. So it's going to be a really, really very important week when it comes to interest rates. There's a lot going on this week. We've got retail sales. We've got industrial production. We've got business inventory, housing starts. But on Wednesday at 1300 hours, also known as 1 p.m., we've got the interest rate decision in the FOMC statement at 1300 hours. And then at 1330, which is 1:30, you've got the FOMC press conference where our dear leader, Jerome Powell, is going to be giving his update. And then on Thursday, we've got GDP. We've got core PCE, so it's a really, really important week when it comes to rates. I'll share you the calendar here in the next few minutes or so. Now, for the entire month of December so far, we've got 1312 new listings for the month of December. Price increase, we're at 322. Price decrease, we are at 2163. 2163, so 87%. That's going to be the best percentage going all the way back to March. We've got 20% drop divided by active. That's right in line with the historical. Historical's right at, actually the average is 47% for the entire year. We're at 20% halfway through the month, so a little bit better than the historical average. If you look at December, we're at 30%. So we're actually slightly higher than December because we're only 16. We're only 16 days into December. So we're slightly higher than December, but slightly lower than the year average. Back on the market, let's take a look how many back on the market. We've got 278, 21%, right in line with the back on the market percentage. Right in line. And we tend to have lower percentages towards the first going to the second quarter, and then it starts picking up. especially with rates going up. When rates go up, back on the market starts picking up. And of course, the reason why people lock in their contract price with a certain rate on third-party financing addenda, and then rates go up, they didn't lock in their rate. Now they've got to terminate the contract. Active under contract so far this month, we're at 659, and pending, we are at 630. So we're at a 0.81% so far this month. It will go up. What's going to happen in the next 4 days is that new listings are going to halt and pendings are still going to happen. So this ratio is going to shoot up and it's going to get closer to that 1. It's going to go over 1. Mark my words, when we look over this data, come first week of January, second week of January, this ratio will be over 1 because there's this, industry best practice cutoff date of December 20th. If the house is not on the market by December 20th, do not list it. Wait until the new year. That's going to affect the new listing to pending ratio, less new listings entering the market. And then we still have the activity on the pending side. This is going to go up. But we can see that for the month of November, way better than last November. Last November, we had a 0.82 ratio. This November, 0.93. October, 0.79. Last October, 0.77. So we've been on a winning streak when it comes to the new listing to pending ratio for a few months now, where we outperformed 2023, so which is really, really good. Let's take a look at closings so far this month. We're at 1,118 closings, 1,118. And how many withdrawn so far? We've got 505. It's a high number. And what about expired? We have 231. So far this year, we've had a total of 14,148 properties withdraw and expire so far this year, which is just amazing. And that is a huge amount. Let me go ahead and just move this to another screen and let me print this as a PDF so that we can review a few other charts and a few other graphs. As you know, it's just going to take me a few seconds to convert this to a PDF, and just give me just a little bit of time so we can go ahead and do this. And it is printing. It's printing as a PDF. We'll have this shortly here available for you. And there we have it. New listing to pending ratio. Now let's look at some graphs. Let's focus on the difference. Let's focus on a few things here. I want to focus on this one. So let's take a look at this. So we've got, starting in August, going all the way through November, the new listing to pending ratio has outperformed 2023. 0.75 versus 0.74, 0.80 versus 0.71, 0.79 versus 0.7, 0.93 versus 0.2. This is going to go up. It'll hit just about flat. It's not going to go up to like a 1.2. That's not going to happen. It'll be a little bit higher than 1.08. I've got full confidence in that. But we can see that August, September, October, November, way better, way, way better. Now, the question is, well, how in the world do we compare with 2022? Well, let's take a look at it. So better than 2022 also. 2022 November, we were at a 0.85 ratio. 2024 November, 0.93 ratio. So we outperformed September, October, November. All three of these months outperformed the previous 2 years. So it's really amazing what's happened this last quarter of the years. I mean, especially when you look at the month of November, it was just unbelievable. 0.93 ratio. I mean, that's the best ratio of the entire year. And it's the best ratio. I mean, if you ignore December, which statistically it's going to have a high ratio, if you ignore that, we have to go all the way back to February to get a ratio that is higher. 0.93 is just amazing, really incredible what's happened. Now, as rates have actually gone up, once again, we are seeing a slight pullback on the number of pending transactions. And we can see that right here, this slight little pullback on pending. So we really have to keep a close eye on what happens with this ratio as rates are parking right around that 6.75. Let's keep on looking at a few more things. I'm going to move forward on active. New listings. Let's take a look at cumulative new listings from January all the way through December. We've had so far this entire year for the 6-county area, 46,706 new listings enter the market, which is just amazing. New listings per 100,000 people, we are 15.7% above average on the cumulative new listings. Let's take a look at a few more things. Cumulative pending. We've had 42,701. And you can see by this chart that we were positive on pending from like August all the way through November, but we're negative year to date. And that goes to show that the demand for real estate in our market has been concentrated within August, September, October, into November. When you compare year over year from January all the way through July, it was not beating last year. We were off compared to last year. Last year was a better year. And then we just had this resurgence into August. Of course, better rate conditions, improved economic optimism, and it caused demand to go up for real estate. When you look at cumulative pending per 100,000 people, 1,697. So we're still down. We're still below average. And it continues to trend down when you look at the entire year from January all the way through December. Are we going to beat 2023 when we review all this data? We're not. Even though we had a really good August, September, October into November, not enough to make up for what didn't go pending from January all the way through July. But we're entering 2025 on a really positive note. But do not be deceived. Be very careful with your new listings entering the market in January. And the reason I say that is because of the 15,000 listings that expired and withdrew this year. A significant portion of those are going to be relisted early next year. You don't want to be caught with a flood of inventory come January, February. When you look at the number of new listings that enter the market, let me pull up that chart. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. Look what happened this year. This year, between March, forget March. I mean, let me make it to where it doesn't disappear. Look what happened between February and May. An explosion of new listings enter the market between February and May. And what happened? Prices went down because you had way more inventory than demand. Even though demand was stable, the added inventory caused pressure on pricing. We don't know if this is going to happen in 2025. But this is a discussion that you've got to have with your sellers. We will know by, I'd say, the second week of January, going into January 14th to the 21st, we'll get a really good sense on how many sellers are re-engaging with the market. You can see that this year we had 3,191. When this data was published, that's when we're like, hey, we got to be really careful. You've got to list it well, list it fast. You've got to be very cautious because we're going to see more new listings. And that's exactly what happened. We saw an explosion of new listings. And if your listing did not go under contract by April, now you were chasing the market down. So it's going to be a very interesting Q1 2025. Are we going to have a repeat of 2024 on the number of new listings entering the market? Seth said, I saw a new Realtor.com article, and take it with a grain of salt, but it estimates a 14.5% increase in sales for 2025. Now, sales as far as number of sales or sales as far as sales price? Like 14.5% increase in price or units? Number of sales. Yeah, I disagree with that. I think it's going to be 14.3%. Yeah, it's going to be higher. No doubt about that. It's going to be higher than 2024. I would say it's going to be either at double digit or darn close to double digit. So let's just say from 9 to 12 or so. But when you're looking at the leading indicators on the properties that are going pending going into the first quarter and the pricing, there are some very attractive prices right now within the Austin area. We are seeing demand increasing within the Austin area. I cannot envision a scenario right now, Seth, where we don't have an increase in sales 2025 compared to 2024. Right. In saying that, I don't know if all of a sudden we start seeing sniffer drones hovering all over Austin, then yeah, at that point, I'd be a little bit concerned about the sales. It's crazy what's happening with those drones, right? Pretty amazing. But yeah, y'all, those are sniffer drones. That's I put that under the category of no bueno, which is Spanish for Taco Cabana, by the way, just in case you did not know. So yeah, it's crazy what's happening with those drones. Crazy. If you want to talk offline about those drones and get more of a military context to that, please feel free to reach out. Love having those conversations. But it's really not good. I'll say that much. It's actually not good at all. It's not the Chinese, it's not the Iranians, it's none of that. It's our sniffer drones that are sniffing for NBC material, specifically the N out of the NBC. The N stands for nuclear. So it's not good at all. But I digress. Let's get back to topic. So it's going to be a really interesting first quarter of 2025, and I look forward to keeping up with all of this data. Let's take a look at what's happening for the entire year, because we have already 6.8% more new listings that have entered the market this year compared to last year. Now, Seth, you can see here that the number of sold properties were down by only 3.9%. We're down by only 1,220 sold properties between all of last year and so far all of this year. It is December 16th. Well, let's do this. Let's get the MLS right here. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to go search. By the way, don't you hate it how you have to scroll down and always click unlock MLS right now? What a pain. I wish they had this by default. It's like, can you just have unlock MLS by default? This is such a pain. So I'm going to go back December 16th to the 31st, and I'm going to go the 6 county area. So we've got 1,230 properties closed last year between December 16th and December 31st. And we are down 1,220. And we know for a fact that more closings are going to happen in 2024 between December 16th and December 31st because pendings are up compared to last year. So already we're going to have a year over year more properties closing compared to last year. So the data already proves that. We know for a fact it's going to happen. And you look at the momentum that we're experiencing. We were down 17.1% 2021 to 22, down 9.7, down 3.9 right now. We're going to be positive 1%, 0.5%. We will be positive. It's a fact. So next year, up. So we're going to be up 0.5% to 1%. Next year, up 7.5%, maybe 10%. 14 seems a little bit more bullish than I would kind of quote, because 14 would mean that we would have to sell. Well, let's take a look at numbers sold. Let's go to the sold, total sold. Oh, I need a total column here, don't I? Wouldn't it be nice if I had a total? I've got the total right here. Cumulative total. Okay, there we have it. 15% would mean that we need 4,500 extra sold properties next year compared to this year. 4,500 more. That seems like a really high amount. That would mean that we would have the same demand as 2020. That seems like a high amount for me. Like, I don't personally see 14.5% increase on the number of sold properties. I don't see that. I would put that figure at if I were being very on the conservative side, 5%, on the realistic side, 7.5 to 8.5%, on the exceedingly bullish side at 12.5 to 13%. Like 14.5 seems like excessively bullish. But, we're just talking about a few percentages. But when you multiply a few percentages by 30,000, that's a lot of properties. So does that make sense? But it will be positive. Like that, I know for a fact. It will absolutely be positive, no doubt about that. The data proves that unequivocally. It proves that. We're almost positive on the number of active under contract and pending. We're only down by 2.3%. Active under contract, we're going to go positive by the end of the day. We're going to go positive on active under contract, which is really, really good news. It's very good news. Like that shows good momentum going into first quarter of 2025. Are we going to get 974 pending properties between now and the end of the month? Yeah, I would say we are. So I'd say we're going to go positive on that also, which lays that foundation for 2025, right? So apart from some, catastrophic, some drone nonsense, we're really in good shape for 2025. We're in excellent shape going into 2025. I'm very, very bullish for 2025. I'm very confident with us, not only as a Team Price company, but also the overall market. And by the way, y'all, we are outperforming the market. So I'm super, super, super proud of y'all. I'm telling you, I get on my hands and knees and I thank God for you all. Y'all are working your absolute tails off, and I could not be more grateful and more proud of you all. You look at the activity index, we're also seeing across the board good readings on the activity index. We're seeing City of Austin, we hit a low back in July, and we're seeing that nice positive gain. Bastrop is struggling. We just hit a 1-year low on Bastrop. You've got some of the eastern outskirts and way outskirt counties between Burnett, Bastrop. Those are struggling. You look at Driftwood, so things are now being concentrated closer to Austin on the positive side. And then the way outskirts are actually decreasing activity with an increased activity inside Austin. Cedar Creek, a little bit of an exception there on Cedar Creek. But if you look at really a lot of the places are going up. Gerald is up to 30% activity index. Very, very encouraging. Even Lockhart, slight little increase. We hit a 12-month low last month, a little bit of an increase. But you look at Maynard just shooting up. Marble Falls, that's a record low. So we're seeing less record lows and we're seeing more rebounds for the market, which is really, really exciting. Let's take a look at activity index for zip codes. And same thing, we're seeing improvements on a lot of activity index for zip codes. Renee, check this out. Renee, you are here, aren't you? Renee is here. Check this out, Renee. There we have it. Everything got switched over to Lago Vista. Renee made a very good point on Friday. She's like, Dan, why the heck do you have Leander for 78645? And I'm like, I just download the list from USPS. And Renee was like, well, you're wrong. Starts screaming and yelling at me. It was awful. It was just unbelievable. I thought she was going to assault me. No, I'm just kidding. She was unbelievably nice. She's like, no, it's basically Lago Vista. And I was like, oh, I know what. We pulled up the data. Like, you're absolutely right. Most of the inventory there is Lago Vista. So I went ahead, Renee, updated everything. So now anytime you go to 78645, you can see this right here. Everything now says Lago Vista. So thank you for the feedback. Super appreciate it. And this goes for everyone, right? So we publish and update 1,723 pages of data and stats on a weekly basis, a lot of it on a daily basis. If there's anything that's like, hey, by the way, this is off, y'all just please approach me. Right? We need to know this. So thank you, Renee, for letting me know that, making that clarification. It's all updated, ready to go. Super appreciate it. But we're noticing really good increase in activity index. Take a look at these numbers. You've got 4 or 5 best activity index going back 12 months. You've got 3.0, 3.2. Look how many are hitting record highs. It's really encouraging. And if you're not hitting a record high, you're seeing a really nice positive momentum upwards on the activity index. So that's really exciting. And then you're noticing a lower months of inventory. You've got 78704. We just hit the lowest inventory going back 12 months, which is really, really encouraging. You've got 3.9. Look at 3.9. Only 1.24 months of inventory. Just crazy. But there's Lago Vista, record high inventory, 11 months. Sorry about that, Renee. You've got Florence, record high inventory. But take a look at all this. All this is available, ready for you all. Let's go ahead and close some of these tabs. Let's take a look at type of market first before we go into inventory. 53% out of the top 30 cities that we track, or 16 sellers market, 7 neutral market, 7 buyers market. When you look at zip codes, 55% of zip codes that we track are now in a seller's market, 21% or 16 in a neutral market, 24% or 18 in a buyer's market. And let's go ahead and close some of these. And what we're going to do is we are going to focus right now on appreciation. When you look at the top 30 cities that we track, and you look specifically on the average sold price, 20 are lower than last year, 10 are higher than last year. When you look at the median sold price, 18 are lower than last year, and 12 are higher than last year. And on the median side, you can see the distribution. Burnett up 23%, Cedar Creek down 10%. When you look at the average and the median distribution of all of the average and the median drops, you've got the average at a negative 0.7, a median at a negative 1.8. Let's take a look at appreciation city. When you look at the average out of, or a zip code, when you look at the 75 zip codes, 46 have gone down year over year. 29 have gone up. That's when you look at the average sold price. And let's take a look at the median. 49 have gone down. 25 have gone up. Now, take a look at 78701. We've got 11 months of inventory. We've got 8% activity index. And you've got a price increase of 6.2%. Tell me if that makes sense. Makes no sense at all, but there you have it. The median sold price for downtown Austin up 6.2% year over year, even though you've got over 11 months of inventory. Just incredible, just crazy. And that basically tells you that the really expensive inventory is still moving. Now, let's take a look at inventory today. There are 12,370 active homes currently in the market. That's a drop of 40 from Friday. That's a drop of 276 from last Monday. That's a drop of 1,308 from exactly 1 month ago. That's a 9.5% drop month over month. But that's a 13.8% gain year over year. We have 13.8% more inventory today than we had exactly the same day 1 year ago. We do have 5.5% more pending. And by the way, Seth, another reason why I say that 14.5, in my opinion, is a little bit too bullish is because we track the pending activity year over year so faithfully and consistently. And you also have 20% of pending deals fall through. So in order for us to have a 14.5% gain in sold, we need to have about an 18% gain in pendings. We're just not seeing that. We're not seeing an 18% gain on pendings. Could it all of a sudden change over first, second quarter of next year, and all of a sudden we're seeing 18 to 20% gain on pendings? I don't see the data justifying that because I also track demographic and population and overall demand for the market. And I'm not seeing those leading indicators that would contribute to an 18% gain on pendings that would then give you a 14.5% gain on sales. If a property doesn't go pending, it doesn't sell, and the input figures just simply don't justify that. The activity index at 23.3, holding steady 3 days in a row at 23.3, 4.37 months of inventory. Out of all of the properties that are currently on the market and under contract, you can see the breakdown on the activity index. On new construction, over 30%, 30.94, resale 19.36. We are hitting another record on short sale, 37 short sales currently on the market. When I say record, I don't mean historical record because you go back to 2009, 10, that number was like super high. I mean recent historical record. That's really what I mean by that. So that's a 37. We haven't seen that number in a very long time. When you look at active listings, we are up 13.8% compared to last year. You ready for a new chart? Because we simply don't have enough charts, right? Early this morning, I became slightly obsessed with this figure right here. Right here. Because it seems like we're just kind of parked at that 10 to 13 to 14%. We go 10, 13, 11, 12, 13, back to 14, up to 13, back to 11. And I just kind of became slightly obsessed with this. So I decided to plot this entire column on a graph. It's like, well, what has been the historical trend on the year over year change in active listing? And that's this chart, because I'm a very visual person. That's the active listing year over year percentage change. And here we've got the average, which is slightly over -5. It's like -4.7. And we can see that it crossed that zero mark back in September of 2024, which is not that long ago. And now we've been way up here. And it's really interesting. So I'm going to start tracking this faithfully and consistently just to see the year over year percentage change on the active listing year over year percentage change. So this is a new chart that I just went ahead and added just because I like to look at data. We've got pending listings. We are up 5.5%, which is super, super encouraging. You've got, and then this once again confirms exactly what we were saying about the percentage of closed units next year. Like this number has to be 18, 19% year over year difference in order for us to then experience a 14.5% difference on the number of closed properties. Activity index continues to go up. We are down 6.9% compared to last year, but we are noticing an improvement in the activity index. Let's keep on going. We have months of inventory. We are up 14.9% months of inventory out of all of the 12,370 active listings. 53.9% of those have experienced a price drop. Now, are you ready to see pricing, or do you want to look at the bond market first? What do you think, price or bond market? It's up to you. First person that answers gets your wish granted. Melanie Price wants to look at price. Y'all, I hope you're sitting down. Once again, when I pulled this data, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I could not believe it. You ready? The average sold price so far this month is at $616,500. It's up $59,108 month over month. It's up a insane $65,694 year over year. That's 11.9% gain year over year. And that's after last month's 19,907 gain year over year, not in addition to, right? Because you're comparing year over year. The median sold price is at $480,000. That's $47,500. Now, I get it. Less expensive homes sell towards the latter part of the month, but we've never, ever had a situation where this amount went negative when halfway through the month, it's so far into the positive. It's just unbelievable. It's incredible. I mean, to put this in perspective, look at the month over month gain. We're at 10.6% month over month gain on the average sold price. We have to go all the way back to January of 2022, where we saw 25.5%. I mean, it's just insane. And the thing is that the median sold price is also crazy high, because on the median sold price, we're up 11%. So to your point, Renee, it's not like, oh, a few $20 million homes sold, because the median price is up. Like, it's really just across the board. It's just incredible. As a matter of fact, the median price as a percentage is higher than the average price. The average price is up 10.6%. The median price is up 11%. The median price is the highest it's ever been on record, month over month so far. The max is 10.98%. And the reason why it says 11% is because I round it up. It's basically, this is the month. It's the highest. Now, it's going to go down. And historically, the month of December, we only had one December where month over month it went down. Only one on record, and that was 2022. We know that it's not going to end at 11. It's probably going to end, let's shave off half of that. Let's just say it's 5%. Well, that means it's going to be the highest one since April of 2022, when the market peaked a month later, like at the absolute height. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I just can't get over this. It's incredible. Melanie said, I'm curious about the difference between the first and second half of the month. In what way? Can you clarify that?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good, because my speaker has been wonky lately. Um, yeah, so because the more expensive homes sell in the first half of the month and then the less expensive during the second. So I was just curious, like if we look back at the months, what the difference is, like the actual numbers between like if you go the first through the 15th and the 15th through the 30th, like what those numbers, how those compare.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So let's just go these 1230, right? So let's just kind of grab some of these numbers. So here we've got from the middle of the month to the end of the month. And let me grab a notepad. And we've got, let me move this out of the way. You've got the median sold price at 439. So this is going to be the second half median. And now let's go back to the first part of the month. So now I'm going to grab this timeline and I'm going to go from the 1st to the 15th. And let's see how many. Watch it not be the same, but we know we track this data. But it's going to be interesting if it's not. Let's go to stats, tabular, and we've got, and there we go. The median in this case that we're talking about last year, and this is going to be the first half. So in this case, we've got a difference of $6,000. So, not a huge when you look at specifically on December. Now, when you start really kind of parsing out the data and you go, okay, the first 5 days versus the last 5 days, but in this situation, I mean, you can see the difference 439 to 445, not the biggest difference for this specific month. It varies on month. We can take a look at last month. Let's take a look at it really quick. We're going to go, let's go closed, let's clear, let's go 1st to the 15th. And this is going to give us 11:15 stats. So for the first part of the month, we have 440. So this is going to be for the first part of the month, 440. And then the second half, we're going to go from the 16th to the 30th. And it's a very similar number of properties, which is really interesting. We have, because we always see that number go down, right? We always see that number go down historically. Okay, so we've got second part of it, 424. Yeah, that's a pretty decent difference. That's a really interesting difference right there. You've got 15,000. I mean, that's a good 5% difference. So that drags that entire median down towards the second half. That's a very significant difference. First half of the month, 440 median. Second half of the month, 424, 536. So that's a pretty substantial difference. Big difference. Does that answer your question? Good stuff. Yeah, we always talk about it as a fact, but there you have the data kind of proving it. So really, you all, amazing what's happening with pricing. I mean, if you take a look at that, just insane. So we're now down 9.6% from the peak. On the average, we're down 12.7% on the median. At one point, we were down over 20%. Just incredible what's going on. When you look at the median sold price versus 24 months prior, we're now up 6.67%. 36 months prior, we're now in the positive or positive 1.05, which means that if today is the absolute peak of the market, or bottom of the market for that matter, which wouldn't be today because obviously the bottom of the market was now here because now it's going back up. But we would return to peak value August of 2027. A few weeks ago, it was like, what? August of 2029. Now it's August of 2027. Right? Just amazing. And simply because the prices have gone up so much. So it's going to be fascinating just to see what happens in the next few weeks. We are positive on the average sold price all of this year. So there's that positive gain. On the numbers sold, take a look at that. We're only down by 149 on the numbers sold. only down by 149, which is really, really amazing. Just incredible. And when you look at this beautiful current market status, uh, if what's happening in December is sustained, we are going to move away from a market correction into a market pullback. Now, we've already moved. We were teetering on the market crash because we crossed over 20%, but we did not have a new listing to pending ratio that was sustained under zero point 0.6. We had brief periods where it almost got to zero point 0.6. In order for us to identify the market as in a high risk of a crash or a market crash, we have to have both leading and lagging indicators pointing in that direction. We had the lagging indicator in that direction, and that is a over 20% drop in price. Right? That happened, but we didn't have a leading sustained market indicator of a zero point 0.6 new listing to pending ratio. We were going in that direction, and then all of a sudden it reversed itself, and now it's just going gangbusters. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's happening with pricing. And we're also noticing an increase on the number of sold. That's what's happening. And when you take a look, and by the way, Seth, I'm so glad you asked that question. So glad, because take a look at this. So we had October 5.1% year over year gain. November 5.4. December, the projection is 1% year over year gain. Right? We did have a 15% year over year gain back in April, but when you look at the average gain, it's only 0.5. Now, the sum of all the gain is 6, but that includes the 8.1, 5.9, 11. And we had a really good April at 15% gain. So all of these numbers would have to be so much on the positive for us to get that 14.5. I mean, I hope that's the case. I really hope that's the case. Let's take a look at the bond market, you all. We started off the day, more on the positive note. We had a drop on the yield. That was entirely evaporated. That's gone. We started going like a rocket ship up to another repricing line. There's a lot going on this week when you look at economic indicators. You can see that we've got manufacturing down more than expected, global manufacturing down. You've got tomorrow. Let's see what's going on tomorrow. Lots going on. You've got retail sales. You've got industrial production, capacity utilization. You've got the National Association of Home Builders Housing Market Index. One of the readings from that index is going to be your traffic of home buyer. So when that reading comes out tomorrow morning at 0900 hours, we are going to be able to update the last few pages on this resource right here, and that's going to give you the traffic of prospective buyers. This is what we're going to update tomorrow at 0930 a.m. whenever this reading comes out. They're expecting it to go up from 46 to 47. I'm actually a little bit more bullish on this. I think it's going to beat that 47. My reading is going to be 49. That's going to be my reading. Just someone correct me if I'm wrong. On Wednesday, you've got housing starts, you've got building permits, but more importantly, you've got the FOMC decision. What are they going to do? What are they going to say when it comes to interest rates? I'm convinced that they're going to go down 25 basis points. PPI data that came out last week does not justify a 50 basis point decrease. They're going to go at 25. The market's already priced in at 25. In saying that, I'm going to go on record saying that we're going to see a slight reversal going into Wednesday and Thursday. Last time, the Fed reduced rates by 50 basis points and mortgage rates actually went up. In my personal opinion, maybe I'm just being overly optimistic. I do think that we're going to see a little bit of a reversal. We are approaching that 7%. We're at 6.75 right now. I don't see rates going up over 7%. No way. I actually expect a little bit of a pullback. Lock and float continues to be my recommendation. Then we've got some inflation data on Thursday, 0730. We've got GDP, gross domestic product. That's the health of the economy. That's also going to be on Thursday. I mean, you can see a lot going on. And then we've got more inflation data coming out on Friday, personal consumption expenditure. All of that's going to come out on Friday. And of course, here we've got the amazing Robert at 6.75. Y'all, it is exactly 11:01. I want to honor y'all's time. We try to keep this at exactly 1 hour, but I do want to ask you if there are any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or complaints before we end our Monday morning touch point. Going once. Going twice. All right, beautiful people, that's all I have. Be sure to join us tomorrow morning for our mentorship meeting. If you've never been to our mentorship meeting, I'll say this, you're missing out. You are missing out. Y'all, we have people that started joining our mentorship meeting like this time last year, and their business is totally different. Like they join the meetings like, this is kind of struggling. What do I do? And over the past 12 months, they've crossed $100,000 in commission, right? So one of the biggest challenges of our business, we love the independence of our business and we hate the word accountability, but there are environments where it's healthy to hold each other accountable and to celebrate success. Right? Not one time during our mentorship meeting, like, oh, how dare you didn't do that? You know, it's not a shame environment where it's like, well, you said you're going to do this. How come you didn't? No, absolutely not. We want to celebrate each other's success. And we just want to be the absolute best that we can possibly be in this business. And that's why we have that Tuesday morning. So if you're not attending that, you're missing out. I'll just say that much. This is the only time I'm going to shame you. I'm not going to shame you at that meeting. I'm going to shame you if you don't join that meeting. Charmaine, you've got a question. Go for it.
Yes, sir. I have a client that wants to make an offer in a zip code that has a 12% activity index. But here's my thing. I don't understand why that area has a 12% activity index because it's an amazing area. So, do you want me to take this offline with you separately just to have a peek to see what's going on, or how do you want to do it? Because I just don't understand why it's the way it is.
No, we can actually, I mean, we're not sharing specific client details or anything. What's the zip code?
78746 Rolling Wood.
Okay, okay, Rollingwood. Well, it's because it's the older area of Westlake. That's why. I mean, yeah, that's exactly why. It's the older area of Westlake. You've got that area historically, it went through you had a lot of investors that went after that area, bigger lots. You've got really nice lots where people scraped the older homes, put in some of the newer homes. It's almost like it's very common for sellers to want to charge Westlake price in an area that is 4.6, is kind of Westlake, but it really isn't. That really is what it is. So historically, in comparison, that area is going to have a slightly lower activity index, but the activity index for all of 4.6 is 12.1. So it's not like insanely lower than the rest of 78746. And the reason why 78746 is experiencing a lesser activity index than the entire broader market, it's a price point, right? So we are when you look down here and you look at the price point break, and let's go to 4.6, you've got obviously absolutely nothing going on. There is zero activity index between the 5 and 600, but then you have really positive activity index. I mean, 29% is great. It's not bad at all between the 900 to a million. And then it kind of goes all the way back down over a million to the 13%. So what I would do is this. You have to look at that specific product and you have to pull the activity index for that product. Is it pre-remodeled? Is it post-remodeled? So tighten up your search within that specific property and see what the demand is for that project, for that property? Was it a property that was remodeled or non-remodeled? Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah,
I love Rolling Wood. I think it's a great area. I love that area.
and also on this chart that you're showing me, it says that there's like a 13% activity index for the 1 million and up. But if you look at the median price in the area, it's 1.7 million. So if this had more columns to the right to show me, between 1 million and 1.5 million, that kind of thing.
Oh, it does.
Which
Right there.
perfect.
Right.
So yeah.
So, yeah. So, like this one does $500,000 price breaks. And you can see that over 1.7, the activity index plummets, drops by half. Right. So, all the way up. Well, one is this between 250 and 750, and you've got some like condos there and all that. There's no activity. There's crazy high inventory, no activity. It's kind of like the overpriced condos. Then the 750 to 1.25, you've got 20% activity index. Not horrible. Under 20%, you start getting into like the warning, the cooler market. But then you cross the 1.7 and it just drops. And you go to the 2.25 and there's just nothing. Like there's no activity. There's nothing under contract between 2.25 and 2.75. And then you get a better product, a little bit more luxury home. These are going to be your remodeled homes, bigger homes, and you've got a really nice, decent activity index. You start getting to like the hyper luxury, but not overpriced, and you have a crazy high activity index. And then you get into the outright obscene overpriced, and there's no activity. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah. He's at the 1.5 ballpark, so it's 23% activity index.
Which is not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, it's higher than all of the resale activity index, which is at 19%.
All right. Well, he wants to make a low offer, so I have to convince him not to go too low.
I mean, if the property's been in the market for a while, just doesn't hurt.
2 months.
Yeah, that's not a huge amount. You got 88 median days on the market for that zip code.
That's what I was thinking. All right. Well, I appreciate the feedback. I have a call scheduled with him after this meeting, so I'm excited to see what he asks.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank
Good
you, sir.
stuff. Of course, anytime. All right, y'all, 11:09. Thank y'all so much for joining. Super, super appreciate it. Thank you, Bertina, for the encouragement. Thank you all so very much. And do not forget to RSVP to Christy for our amazing, amazing party. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I love it, love it, love it. Have a great rest of your week. I will chat with you all later. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or complaints, please let me know. Here to help. Otherwise, I will talk with you soon.